Got daggone technology, man.
Oh man, the red light
This
is
daggone
on,
thing. This daggone
and
thing
the
doing
red
whatever it wants
shirts,
tonight.
and the
Oh,
red
look
shirts
at
is
we.
on. Did you see that,
No,
ladies and gentlemen? Did
I
not adjust your screen. Yes, we are twinning on a Tuesday.
oh
On
Lord.
this, on this, everybody has a story day. Because as somebody, good friend of the channel, King Coley likes to say Title Tuesday, right?
Yep, yep.
But you know what? I got a title for you, sir. You ready for this one?
What's that? Let's go.
Well, I want you to think about this, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
have iconic champions like Trish Stratus, Lita, Mickie James, to the overlooked, groundbreaking matches that set the stage for the women's revolution that we are enjoying today, I think it's time that we explore the foundation that was laid within the modern era of women's wrestling. While WWE branded their women's evolution and it began in the mid 2010s, but the seeds were planted long before then. Through hard hitting rivalries, memorable storylines, and undeniable talents, they elevated the women's division and women's wrestling to what we're enjoying today. Without further ado, let's get to it. Oh, uh, okay. Welcome to season three of Championship Culture. I'm Brady the Guy, and he is none other than what Alan. Who are you, sir?
Whoever you need me to be tonight.
All right, so we're gonna just call him Brother Hugh for the night. Usually he has a whole catch. Hit him with the catchphrase, sir.
I don't know, man. I'm not feeling like Batman tonight.
All right, we're gonna leave it at that. We got Brother Hugh, his alter ego.
No, no, no. I can't do that to the people. Y'all know
Okay,
who I
all right.
am.
Who are
Y'all
you?
know who I am. Y'all can say it
Who
with
are you?
me if you want to. I'm
Okay.
HASTAT to the 3RD, rather known, no, actually known as Hazmat 3. I shoot photography. I'm black. I'm back. Never been whack. We still here. Let's go.
Well, it took a little long on the intro. I mean, but all
Yes,
right, so
sir.
we're here. And Brother Hugh, you know
Yep.
we're here to talk about something very near and dear
Yep.
to both our hearts, right?
Hmm.
Because oftentimes in 2025 now, we've kind of moved away from the word of women's wrestlers and we just start talking about women, I mean, good wrestling. And it's finally
Right.
in a space that we can start saying it's a good match. We don't want to say, oh, the women had a good match. It's becoming now, these are good matches, main event and everything like that. But often you might have to say, how did we get here, right? And
Right.
when you think about the history of a specific title that we're going to get to today, and I promise you we're going to get to it, right? But when you look at the history of the WWF and WWE, and it's interchangeable, but we're going to start off with the WWF Women's Championship. It has a very complicated history, and that's currently the belt that's on SmackDown. That's actually what the lineage tracks back to, and that's the
Right.
WWE. They just called it the Women's Championship now on SmackDown, even though it's the female version of the one that Cody has that says Undisputed, but it's called the Women's Championship. But a lot of people don't know it started back in 1956 when the Fabulous Moolah won the NWA World's Women's Championship. And at that time, the WWE did not exist in the entity that we know it to be. The
Right.
company would become later founded in 1963 when Capital Wrestling Corporation broke away from National Wrestling Alliance to form the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. The three W's with the F. So
Yep.
then Moolah wasn't She was said to be a dominant champion, but she actually brought the rights to the women's title in 1970 and continued defending it under an NWA banner until 1984, where it got a little interesting, right? Because
Right.
by that time, the WWF had been rebranded to US World Wrestling Federation, and they actually parted ways with NWA and split all together, right? So in 1983, Moolah sold the championship rights to WWE. So by 1984, we have a women's championship. And instead of recognizing all the stuff that she did from 56 to 84, WWE just said, nope, she was champion for 28 years. Longest reigning women's champion ever, right? I don't think anybody will ever get close to that stat. And
No,
then when you think about it, we fast forward to about 1990, right? The women's championship was inactivated for reasons. We can talk about what happened in '93 when it was reactivated by an icon, a legend, the great Alundra Blaze, winning
right.
the tournament, becoming the champion. But of course, controversy just seemed to be stuck with this title. We don't need to get into that history. I think that's been beat to death, almost like the Montreal Screwjob, right? But some wrongs have been right. Some things have been changed, and the title remained dormant until 1998. And that's when it brought into the Attitude Era, with one woman winning the title. And that's the title that we're going to talk about today. And that was when Jacqueline won the reintroduced WWF Women's Championship. Brother here, I
Yes,
know
sir.
that's one of your favorites.
That's my girl.
So, before we get into this belt, I got to ask a question about this icon right here, or icon or legend. Which one we going to classify as?
Both.
Okay. Because I know it's hard for you to distinguish. But during this time, and we got to understand, this is when you think about the WWF women's division, this is
Hmm.
pre days of the Performance Center. This is pre days of them working as hard on the indie scene or in the territories as the males were because it was harder for them to get a spot because not a lot of people were looking at it. So a breakout star, a standout star was very hard to come by, especially when you might only get 6 minutes for a match. You might get a gimmick match. So Jacqueline had a lot to contend with, right? And I think being Jacqueline, she broke through some of those ceilings. So was she the right woman to usher in this belt?
Absolutely. First of all, shout out to Miss Jackie. She being becoming the first African American woman as a WWE champion or WWF champion at the time. But yes, if you look at the roster of that time, she was the perfect person to reactivate that title because she's beautiful, of course, and of course she can go in the ring. She had years and years of experience. And if you look at, like I said, if you look at the roster, there wasn't a lot of women at that time that had that type of wrestling experience. So when you put those two things together, she's beautiful. She fits the mold of what Vince McMahon's vision was at that point in time. As far as appearance, but presentation wise in the ring, she can go. And if you put it on her, she can have a good match with any female that you throw in the ring with her. So yeah, she was the perfect person to put it on at that time.
And I think she was the perfect package for the women's division because she could have those gimmick matches, which became a staple of that division. But she could also put on a match that you say, "Oh, that was
Right,
good," And it all depends on like realness as her dance partner, right? But
right.
that was in September of '98. We
Hmm.
saw another thing happen in November of the same year. Another one of your favorites, huh? Won it with a special guest referee being Shane McMahon. We know this. Now, let me take people back in time. This is during the time when there was a lot of stories happening in WWF, right? So we
Hmm.
know Sable became the next champion. Deborah, in the evening gown match, and all I can hear is who yelling about puppies and oh my gosh, she won and she's all this. But then we saw another breakout star of Ivory come into her own and actually kind of rival what Jacqueline was doing in the fact of the wrestling sense. So we had the gimmick and then we had the wrestlers, right? And I'm just
Right,
saying because that was the bar, it was like one or the other, right? And
right.
Ivory just stood out all the way around in this division. But as we fast forward through that, we see that Ivory, she kind of did a job for Fabulous Moolah to give it another run, just to give it another title, her fourth title in that um, about a time. And then she got a second run in. The cat was there. We're not going to talk about Harvey Wimple. Then Jacqueline resurged back, right? And
Yes.
she began her second reign. Buddy, Jacqueline probably would have been the only person that you believe would take the belt off a man because she did it a couple times. Remember, she
Yep.
later on did it with the cruiserweight title, and we'll talk
Right.
about that at another time. But we saw something happen very interesting. I promise you, we're gonna get to the belt. I just want to make sure people understand the history. Stephanie McMahon, Helmsley, um, husband Triple H was the champ at the time. She takes it off of Jacqueline. Did that further the story or did it make the story less interesting?
I mean, at that time, it furthered the story because I believe her husband Triple H was the champion, right?
Hmm.
Two, is the power trip. It's the same thing that they've been doing for the next couple of decades. The authorities, the authority figure, they're running the show. So it made sense with the storyline. I mean, I wasn't really a fan of it because you took it off Miss Jackie, to be honest.
That's how I was waiting for you to say they
But
took it off of your
right,
lady.
yeah. So, but it made sense with the storyline, and it
Okay.
helped elevate Stephanie to the character that she is today, or what we know of her today.
And remember, while Stephanie was doing that in the background, we saw back in the Sunday night, I'm sorry, Saturday night Jacked and Sunday night Heat, we saw a rising superstar. At one point she was part of the Godfather's valet, and then you saw her being paired up with somebody, and then the brothers saved her, and she became part of Team Extreme, right? We saw the
Hmm.
rise of one Lita, right?
Right,
And with The Rock being a special guest referee, we saw Lita get her first reign as women's champion.
right,
But this is during the time. Remember storyline. She was with Team Extreme, and then we saw the Right to Censor come out, right?
right.
And
One of the
Ivory.
best factions of all time. Let's say that.
Okay. Uh, okay. Just like your tribal chief, Tonga Loa, right?
Yep.
Okay. Ivory is a different character, same beast, but now she's that hated person, right? And we saw a change in China. Went from wrestling with the men, Intercontinental Champion, Royal Rumble entrance, a little softer side to China, a little bit more going after that prize. Won it. I wasn't there. I don't know if it's true. Contract dispute. She relinquished it. And then we're going to get to the good stuff about this title. Because as we talk about history of this championship, you can't not mention one of the greatest women wrestlers to do it, and that's Trish. And just like in the comments, Trish is the greatest
Hmm.
women's champion of all time. Trish Stratus is, I can't say that, Nadia, what's that? For the women's championship. Um, and some will argue, and did you not feel like she was the valet for Tess and Albert? And then Magic, I was like, when did she learn how to wrestle? When did she find
Exactly.
time to wrestle? And she could,
Right.
yes, we could talk about getting out there. Women were botching, but so were the men. If they didn't have the performance center, they weren't getting as many matches. They wasn't getting TV time. I wasn't on a house show circuit. I don't know if they were getting matches or not. When did they get their reps in? So sometimes on TV might have been the first time that they wrestled. And
That's true.
for her to have chemistry almost automatically with one of her biggest rivals being either Lita or Jazz made me pay attention to this division. And I'm gonna give you a little tidbit. When you
What's
think
that?
about Trish, Jazz, and Lita, you can almost argue them three women were in the same vein of like Rock, Austin, and Triple H for the women's division. You can interchange them at any time and have a great match that everybody wanted to see. So as we move through this women's division, right? And
Hmm.
we're gonna sit on Trish because I think that's what the bulk of it is before we get to the belt, right?
Right.
She kind of set the standard for what the competition had to be. You had to be eye appealing, you had to get their attention in the ring, and you had to get their attention on the mic. Not a lot of women could cut promos like Trish. Not a lot of
Absolutely.
women could do the things in the ring that Trish could do. And not a lot would keep your attention inside and outside of the ring. Right? If Lita wasn't doing a death defying match, if she wasn't doing things with the Hardys or Edge, it was like, okay, who truly is Lita? That was her gimmick, attaching to those things. For her to have her own, it really wasn't. Trish took it from a stable and became Trish. Lita was always high flying, moonsault, off the top rope, daredevil type of thing, right?
Right.
But Trish's rivals became more about Trish versus them than the women's division. Who do you think was Trish's greatest rival?
That's an easy answer. That's
Eh,
Lita by far.
Okay.
Those are the two young ladies that are credited with pioneering, let's taking the women's wrestling to the next level and giving us basically what we have today. And it's great that we see a Trish Stratus come back now today in the world where women's wrestling is being taken seriously and they're not treated just as mostly eye candy, and you have women doing the same thing, they're on the same plane as men. So it makes sense. And those two women, that rival was everything at that point in time. Those were your two biggest stars. They had the look. They could go in the ring. Two different two different styles completely. Lita, like you said, high flying, wild, extreme. Trish, more brawling, ground and pound. Hey man, that rival was everything. That's it for her. Literally, literally. I don't think anybody else
Bec-
could step up at that point in time. Maybe a Jazz, but I don't think the fans would have interacted with Jazz the way they clamored to Lita. She just had something special at that point in time.
because even when you talk about rivals, you got to say you can't say Trish without saying Jazz, Molly Holly, Victoria. You know we got to talk about Victoria,
I
Gail
know, I
Kim,
know.
Mickie James. You know, and these are all legends that made their name for themselves in a time they weren't supposed to stand out. They were supposed to go out there and do a match and go. But you know, Trish and Lita, main event and Raw. Um, the Mania matches, the multi-women matches, and it felt like every person knew their stride, and it seemed like at every point in time, somebody was getting their shot, and it was so crazy for a Gail Kim and her debut match to win the title. That was unheard of. You know,
Right,
and it was like,
right,
okay, cool. It was only for a month, but it was a reign. Then Molly Holly. We saw Molly Holly change character, and it was like she had a little grit to her. She didn't, but like Victoria and Molly, when they exchanged, it was like magic. Um, Trish's, like you said, Trish's big around with Lita. Then Mickie James kind of stepped in there to be, you know, the crazy fan and do things. But
right. Establish
these
herself. Yep.
stories helped us focus in on more because the males were having stories, no matter if you were champion or not. But the women kept having these stories and they were fighting for that championship. And that championship meant so much because even when Trish retired, it didn't miss a beat. You missed Trish, but you still had a Mickie James, uh, a newcomer in Melina, who did the same thing Trish did. You looked and you're like, wait a minute, she can wrestle? You know, and it was like out of the blue because he was the manager. And then you're like, oh,
Right, right,
Melina can wrestle. You know, you still
right.
had those women there. And not all the women were the world champion, but they were doing things like Victoria. Victoria put the work in so women like Natalia can be celebrated today.
Hmm.
Mickie James put the work in so we can respect a Bailey. You get what I'm saying? Like Trish
Great
did the thing
comparison,
so
by the way.
we could be celebrating Charlotte. Um, we could go on and on about the comparison because there's not anybody in TNA, AEW, or WWE that wouldn't say one of these women were their role model or their reason that they're in the business. And
You
with
hit it
that
right on
being
the head. Yeah, you did. You perfect comparisons, man. Daily to yeah, that's perfect. It's perfect. I thought you was gonna say more about Victoria. I thought you was gonna say more about Victoria. I was expecting to be here for an hour or so.
No, we'll get to Victoria, but I think this is the time where people. I think we talked about the belt enough. What you think? And you know, I can go. You know, this was my thing because I always wanted the women's wrestling to be on equal playing field, and this title helped
Yeah,
elevate so much. And not a
it
lot of
did.
people know it's two different versions of it. And the thing is, it was a unique. You know what? Let's just let the people see the belt. How about that? You want to? Let's take a pause because you know I can get going about the status, but let's take a look at the belt.
I thought you was just gonna bring it out, but no, let's go.
So there you have it. A couple, a
Hmm.
couple, a couple second glimpse into it. But hey, you want to talk about the tell some people because I don't know if people
First,
really understand the detail of it.
first of all, I don't like how you have Lita on the on the nameplate. I mean, no
And not
disrespect to
Victoria.
her.
I know, and not Victoria.
No, I was definitely going with Trish.
Okay, no, it would
Can't
be
go wrong.
Victoria. I can't have Victoria sign this until I get her nameplate, though. I
Right.
refuse to
Yeah,
have
that's
Victoria
disrespectful.
on her belt and it has Lita name on it. Um, but no, and the reason everybody has a story. When I bought this belt, it was from another person, and they already had
Yeah,
Lita's name on it, so that's why it has Lita's name on it. But there's an actual cool story behind this belt. But here, do you want to break down the belt for the people?
yeah,
Because
we
this is
definitely got to hear that then.
version one of this, right?
hmm
So as you
hmm
saw the picture, well, tell the people some cool stuff about it, because you like to do this
Plain,
part.
plain and simple, you have that buzzsaw pattern. It signified the grittiness and just the attitude of the Attitude Era. It defines it perfectly. Um, if you look at the main plate, is the gold portion of the main plate. It has that textured backing, which is honestly at first I never noticed that before. It didn't come across like I couldn't see the actual texture on the title when we was watching it on TV. But not that most of the time we paid attention because the ladies were doing their thing. But with that being said, like if you go back to the side plates, it simple, the globe, the logo, the WWF logo, blue globe with the buzzsaw pattern mimicking the main plate, and that's about it. It's very simple, straight to the point.
The barbed wire around it, around the
Oh yeah,
border. A lot
yeah,
of people
I see
don't
it. Yeah, the
pay
barbed wire.
attention.
Yeah.
And the I don't know if they were lightning bolts or just cracked to show like it was break. I always said this was a breakthrough. Like I felt like people call it the Buzzsaw Championship, and it felt like
Yeah.
it was the one that was breaking through. Very simple, women's champion on the front, but on TV, I remember it always looking like it's a big deal, and it kind of gave me the feel of a woman's big gold, or how the television title said, you would look at it and say, oh, that's kind of a big deal with the gold on it. I feel like it was the same feeling. And of course, with the nameplate, they would change it out. But the thing that's unique about this belt, when they got the F out, you'll
hmm
see the black disappeared and it was gold. And they
Right.
gave it like another gold texture. Sometimes, depending on how the light hits, you would see this part be gold as well. Um, so there you go, right there. So that was the later version where they opted for more gold. And a lot of times I think they changed the way that the belt looks due to how the light hits it on TV. The braided pattern around it. Go ahead, Hugh. I'm
I
sorry.
I believe the main plate got a little bit bigger too.
It did. It got wider
Yeah.
because your spirit animal is here. Is that man up?
What's
And
going
I
on?
don't know which one from Bells and Bells it is, but thank you for joining us. It is very, you know what? This is a very, I hate the word underrated, but it is an underrated design for the time that it was in because it gave a character and a uniqueness to the women's division. And when we talk about uniqueness of the belt, no matter which woman held it, it looked like it was a big deal. It didn't feel like it was another belt, or it felt like it was the other belt. It felt like, okay, that's the woman that's most important. Because even when they did the brand split, and the women's champion could float between both brands, it felt
hmm
like, okay, yeah, we got the WWF champion. We also have the women's champion, equal player field. Um, excuse me. So we know Trish has 7 reigns
Yep.
combined of 820 something days.
Right.
Um,
I believe so.
Alundra Blaze 3 reigns, not with this belt for as a women's champion. Um, and the next closest one with this belt is Mickie James with 5. Did you
And I
realize
believe
Mickie James had
Lita and
this
Beth in Phoenix too, right?
thing at 3?
They had three. I
Because
thought
remember,
Lita had
Beth
five.
had no Lita only got 3.
Oh, I'm tripping. I'm tripping.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
no,
but go
Lita
ahead.
has 4. 4. I'm sorry, they would kill me
Okay.
on trivia. Lita had 4.
Right.
Because remember that extra game she lost in the Trish for retirement and
Yeah.
she got it
Okay.
right
All right.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But Beth, remember Beth had the Divas title, I think, as much as she had this title. Because remember when the Divas title was introduced, it was exclusive to SmackDown at first, and then they did the
Yeah.
brand
Yeah.
split because Melina got drafted. I'm sorry, not doing the brand split, doing the draft. Melina got drafted to, I believe it was Raw with the Divas title, and that went to SmackDown. That's how they flipped them. Remember how they used to flip the
Yeah.
brands? But
Right.
Mickie James, 5 reigns combined. These are all their combined days. 365, I believe. Beth, 3, about the same. Ivory, 3, 330 reigns. Molly Holly, she had it for 2 reigns, 200 and, I'm sorry, 301. Melina, this is going to blow your mind because I bet you probably associate Melina with the Divas title more than you do this title, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
That's all I
she had
remember
it
it
for
with.
3 times, 279 reign. Michelle McCool twice, and of course, my favorite Victoria, 2 reigns at 244 days. But I'm
Okay.
gonna bring your attention to one thing that I think helped to hurt the belt. I loved when they introduced the Divas title, and it was a whole different feel. Because
Hmm.
remember, we had the big gold and the undisputed belt, right? And
At the
then
time, yeah.
yeah, we did the brand split. Of course, the split came later on, but it had a different feel to it. And a lot of people will get to the Diva Championship at another time. Um, but when they were combining it, I think that the unexpected person was in the right place at the right time. Because we saw the Glamazon come out, we saw the GoDaddy lady, if everybody remember. Um, Candice Michelle was doing the GoDaddy commercial to turn wrestler. Um,
Hmm.
Beth bust on the scene, and it was like Beth bust on the scene was like it was something that we had never seen before because now you have a wrestler that's dominant in that division, right?
Right.
And she was taking out your favorites like um, Mickie James. She took down Candice Michelle. She was taking down Michelle McCool. The unbeatable Michelle McCool. But you had a star in the background that everybody seemed to forget.
Who are we talking about?
A diamond in the rough.
Who are we talking about,
Layla.
brother Brandon?
Good old Layla.
That's brother Realness girl.
Uh-huh. And the thing that people don't realize, I don't care what anybody say, Layla is the one that won the belt. Layla is the one that unified it. And Layla should be credited. Not Lay Cool, Layla. Because she wrestled that match and she unified the titles together.
Well, I'm glad you
Which
brought up Late Cool because we forgot about this version.
I wasn't going to talk about. I was hoping. Oh, but remember, Michelle McCool had to stay in the spotlight, and mm, yep, I want Mark Calloway to come after me. But I'm saying I wasn't a big fan of hers because I was a fan of Layla. And when it was unified in 2010 on September 19th, which is a day I always remember for
Hmm.
reasons, at Night of Champions, Layla is the one that won and unified the belts, not Lay Cool. But that's just my thing because she won the women's title in May of that same year. But
Right,
people
right,
like to
right, right.
say, "Oh, it was Lay Cool and Michelle Cool." It was Layla
No, it was
because it
definitely
was a
later.
2-on-1 hit. Layla pinned. Who did she pin? Oh God, who did she pin here? Why am I drawing a blank?
Don't get me lying.
Who did
Hold
she
on.
pin? Because it was on SmackDown when she won the women's title. Um,
I'm looking. I'm
can't
looking.
remember who she pinned. So I feel like it was it Beth? I think
I
it was
think.
Beth.
Hold on. It was
Yeah,
Beth.
she
It was
beat
Beth.
Beth. She beat Beth Phoenix for the title. Another unbeatable person. She beat Beth, and then they had the match for the Divas title, and Layla won it. Because she beat Melina. And everybody thought Melina was going to be the odd-on favorite to unify. But
Hmm.
as we talked about this belt, here, do you have any standout moments with this championship?
Whenever Trish won it. Man, I love to see Trish on the screen, man. Trish and
The
Jackie. That
retirement
was it for
match?
me. That was it.
That
That
was
was
your
it for
thing?
me. That was
Okay.
it. That was it for me, man.
I'm not mad at you
But
with
not
that.
now. To be honest, anytime Trish and Lita hooked up, it was always a great match. Like you said,
Hmm.
Brother Realness always talks about dance partners. They were able to tell a different story every time they got into the ring, and that's what captivated me as a young pup. Watching watching the ladies go in there and do their thing, and yeah, I truly appreciate it. And of course, we got to say thank you to Trish.
Oh, Let's talk about that. I was waiting for you to say thank you to Trish, because at this
Mm-hmm.
time I want to take a few moments and we can talk about every belt has a story. And
Uh-huh.
man, oh man, does a certain belt have a story? Now, realness, you were wrong. I do not have the belt, but here, let's say thank you to Trish in a proper way, all right?
Yep, yep.
Because WWE came out with right before Elimination Chamber, they came up with this belt, and man, at first. I said, thank you. A signature series for the women's championship. We got one for the Divas with the Bellas, right? We got
Right.
one for China for the Intercontinental title. But I was like, this is very special because 25 years later, first off. Second, the women who, if you take that Phantom Reign out or the Fabulous Moolah, she would be the greatest wrestler to hold that title. Not saying Fabulous
Absolutely.
Moolah is greater because of her 7-time reign, but she has 800 combined days, and she did it over the span of that course of time where it was the foundation for the revolution that we would see as in now. And that belt, I think it captures everything about it. The straps. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hugh. Break it down, because
No, no, you
who
good,
that.
you good. Go ahead, use on the
Okay.
roll. Use on the roll.
So if you
Go
look
ahead,
at
let you cook first.
this, it's insane because the strap is kind of distracting behind the main plate, but it's actually the Trish Stratus logo, which is also a play on the 25 years as well that you see on multiple parts of the belt. So they kind of did a really good job with her 25-year logo, but still showing that it's Trish Stratus. Kept the Buzzsaw logo, kept everything. They took the blue out and the red and just kept everything black and gold. What better way to show 25 years of Stratusfaction? And even on the back, they put it on the back. 25 years of Stratusfaction, 7-time women's champion. Just straight to the point, her iconic point. I think that they did this signature series so well. I wouldn't be surprised if they give another woman, as in Alita, or somebody
Right.
else with a Legends contract, another one because Triple H, I can keep telling you, we don't have any money, but you keep doing stuff like this, it just screams, thank you, Trish.
That's a beautiful belt, man. Like this has to be one of my favorite signature series belts. The look of it is just it's clean, it's simple. Like you said it was distracting. I don't think so.
I said
It
at first, the
hits.
TS, because you're like, what is
Yeah,
that behind the main plate? And then when you see it in this form, you're like,
it's
oh,
is yes. I'm glad they went with just the black and gold. It's perfect. Look, Trish on the straps, on the what is
in the
that called?
snap
God
box,
damn.
the snap
Snapbacks. I
box.
can't even think of the word. Right. And you see how it's cut
Because
off
the tip,
and
you
whatnot.
see how
Yeah.
the tip is cut?
The tips, yeah, yeah, bro. Everything about this
Like,
belt is just perfect. The shape of it, everything. I love it.
it's literally, and it's the gold going through it just complements the side plates and complements the main plate.
It's not too
Everything
much.
about it just says, look at this belt. And I didn't see what the belt, did you see what the belt bag looked like? I think it might be her pointing on the front, but
I can't
it
remember. I
fits.
think it was. Yeah.
I think it was just the point, right? But here's
Yeah.
the thing: like some people can say, "Oh, you should this more with the side plates." This is enough to say this is her era. And when you talk about women's wrestling or the Attitude Era of women's wrestling, her name comes first, and her name will be attached to it. Because you can't say Lita without saying Trish. You can't say Jazz without saying Trish. You can't say any woman on that roster at that time without saying Trish. Similar to how we can't say anything about the Attitude Era without saying Stone Cold or The Rock. You have
That's
no
true.
matter what you say, it always comes back to one of those two. And depending
That's
on the
true.
conversation, it's gonna float between both of them. You might be like, "Oh yeah, cause Stone Cold. Oh yeah, I watched it with The Rock, the eyebrow, the people's eyebrow, or the beard." It's gonna be something attached. People are going to be. This part of history will always be attached to Trish. Hence why I hope that the rumors are true of Evolution 2 happening, because that should just be a staple, because it's a lot to celebrate for the women, because right now the women might outpace some of the men in their matches, because
Absolutely.
how many times have I
Absolutely.
said it? Some of the women matches, I'm like, I'm more looking forward to that than I am some of the other ones. And it's not saying I'm downplaying the other matches. I'm just looking for good wrestling. And in an era where they had a small amount of time, a different type of expectation, and they didn't have everything they have now, these women still pioneered and broke through and set the foundation for what we're enjoying today.
Now you know we have new titles now. Do she get a thank you? Does she get a chance to get one of at least one of those new titles? Because she already had the tag team titles, right?
Yep. Remember her
So
and
she
Becky, right? She helped
right,
with her and Becky, right?
right. So did she get to add one of those to her legendary? You know what I mean? Like, what you think?
So to be honest, if it's anything, I personally would like to see her win one of the world titles first. Eh,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, when I say world title, the actual world championship, not the WWE one, because the lineage of the one on SmackDown is tied to this belt. And remember,
Right.
this got merged with the Divas belt. The Divas belt got turned into the Women's Championship again. The Women's
Hmm.
Championship became the Raw Women's title. The Raw Women's title became the WWE Undisputed Women's Championship. Her lineage is
Okay.
already attached to that if you go down the line. If you look at the world title, it was attached to the SmackDown lineage. I would much rather see her with that because I think if they wanted to do a customized one for her, that would be the one to customize it. You saw how they customized it in when they went to what you call it, the world title.
Yeah.
They starting to get a little funky
Yeah.
with it and said,
It's,
we're gonna try
it's
that
getting
one.
a little play. Yep. It's getting
Yeah.
some time now.
But look, give her one of the white strap belts you got. I'm gonna say six to choose from because remember, we got four the main roster and two somewhere else. I wouldn't
Hey
mind
man.
seeing. And think about it tonight, as time it is, if you're watching it live or you're watching the playback, Steffi Valkyra and Julia are doing a winner's take all. I'm
Oh, that's
pretty
right.
sure they looked up to Trish. And what better way to say, I want that match? Because now we're in a space where women are able to wrestle the women that they watched growing up. Kind of like the men did. Like, I watched this
That's the
person
best
growing up,
thing.
I get to wrestle. You know what I
That's
mean?
the
Like,
best
think
part
about
about it
Kevin
now.
Owens.
Yeah.
He watched Stone Cold and he said he got to wrestle him. You know, you're getting a lot of people that's get to have that dream and that moment. Like Roxanne said she watched Bailey growing up. So why not? You know what I mean? Like just like was it AJ who was it crying when they met? Was it AJ Lee when she met Lita?
It was AJ.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But now we're in a place where these women can now wrestle their idols, which is a good thing because who's to say Tiffany did not look up to a Charlotte? We're in no spaces
Right.
now.
Right.
So
She said that in the
like
promo, didn't she?
mhm. Yep. So with that being said, you know what we gotta say. We said thank you, Trish. Um,
Did you finish your
we
story
talked ab-
on the belt?
we talked about this version. So I did this for a reason, right? So when you talk about every
Yeah.
belt had a story versus that version and the version I have, right? When you
Hmm.
look at that version, because all right, oftentimes when it comes to buying belts that's not available in WWE shop, it's hard to find the right replica, right? It's hard to
Right.
find a actual shop replica or Figs Inc. or whoever was making them at the time replica. So I came across this version as part of I gotta hurry up and sell it, but it has a flaw. And I was like, all right, well, what's the flaw? So me personally, depending on the flaw of a belt, is what I'll say, is it worth the money or is it worth the display? I'm not, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I can't carry this to a show because I would feel like, yeah, it's a relic, as in, people don't see this because you really don't see this at the show. But I wouldn't carry this because I want to carry one of the custom belts to a show. So I was like, you know what? It'll probably be on display, so the flaw won't be too
Shoot, give
bad.
it to me. I'll carry it. You
I
know, I
know
don't care.
you
I don't care
would,
if it say women's on. I'll walk
but
right around
no,
like
it's
I'm the
not that.
women's
It's just the
champion.
fact. No, it's not. That's not the reason because I want to carry the
I
custom one.
feel you.
So,
I know.
uh, and plus it might. So, and I'll tell you what the flaw is. So when I saw it, I
What's up?
said, "Man," but it's a WWF version. It's the one with the darker blue on the globe because the other one had the lighter blue. Because remember, WWE
Right.
was going through what color blue we want to do. So I was always a fan of the darker blue. And plus, I said, "Oh, it has the actual Attitude logo like the original one has." All right, so you probably can find this online for anywhere upwards. If it's a WWE actual replica, probably minimum $500 you're gonna pay for it. A remade,
Hmm.
you can probably get it for between $250 $300, right? So at the time,
Hmm.
the guy was like, "One something." I was like, "I'll let you know." took the price down a little bit more, including shipping. I said, send that bad boy to me. So um, sometimes when you have other, because it is really it's 4 millimeter thick, which is a plus, as you can see. Doesn't have much of a curve, but one of the posts had broke. So when they remake belts, a lot of times and this is for the audience, they'll have screws or drill into the leather, and it'll be a portion on the back that you'll see where the screws and everything are. So when I say one of the
Hmm.
posts is broke, it was this part that had broke. So I don't know if you can see. I tried to repair it a little bit, didn't work out too well, but I said, hey, it's going to be on display. And also, the snakeskin backing that was used didn't hold up as well. So I tried one thing to repair it. That's why I was trying not to show it. But I said, hey, the backing is all in all, but the plates are really good. They're thick, they're hold on. Oh, and this post has broke recently. Um, but it would, I'll be honest with you, this is a belt I would get re-leathered because the plates are in such good shape. But I would have to get it re-leathered with somebody that could actually add a new post on here in the main plate. So for the price, it was
Right.
worth it for on display. Um, I don't like that this is how, because if you look at the nameplate on there, you see how it's actual screws and they're actually
Yeah.
covered. On this one, it's not. So for a
Oh
belt
yeah,
that's on
yeah, yeah.
display, it's great. But if I was going to get something re-leathered, I really don't want to get many things re-leathered, but because the plates are phenomenal, as you see, it's clean, it's the detail, everything about it is great except for the post broke. So for $100
So it's clear
range
that
price for that,
it's clear to say that you prefer the black backing as opposed to the gold backing.
yes. Because
Okay.
I see how photos, the black backing look great. TV, the gold looks better because it made it stand out more because you really could see that buzz saw. I always felt like it was breaking through, and that's what I feel like the women were doing at the time. So I prefer the black one. Does that mean I wouldn't get the gold one? Probably because just like with the
Never
Intercontinental
had.
title,
Hmm.
don't have it. Just stop it. So it just depends. But that's the story behind this belt. Why I have it is because of women like Victoria, Trish, Lita, Ivory, Jacqueline, Jazz. Um, Melina,
Dang.
Mickie James, because
Hmm.
they were those, oh, okay, let's check them out. And then you knew that it was special because these women left the promotion, went other places, and just turned it up another notch. And it says some of them came back, some of them are back home now. So you know that, it was something special there because women's wrestling in this day and age is just becoming wrestling. And I think that we get
Hmm.
bent out of shape when we don't see enough of the women's wrestling. Like think about it, if you watch a show, you're like, man, women's I wanted to see such and such, such and such. Or a true testament is at the Fanatics Fest when Rhea Ripley sold out before everybody else. That tells you something.
Everybody, literally everybody.
So, or you when you want to go when you go to a show and you don't see a certain one, you're like, man, where's such and such? This is what I came to see. You know. So
You know what's crazy though? It's crazy that we have this belt. We mentioned the lineage of this belt, but China didn't play a big role in it, and it's crazy because she was actually out doing more legendary things, but on her own. At that time, women wasn't wrestling men, right? China
he
did
definitely
did
wasn't any
something
routes for men.
that right. China was out doing something bigger and better. Wrestling men. How many times was she the IC champion with your guy?
Twice. She
Right.
shared it once.
Once with it, once with him, but she 2-time IC champion. No woman has ever done that, right? But she was the first to do it. So I just had to take a second to give my props to China. We can't go through a women's show without mentioning her because she's done
Hmm.
a lot of great things, a lot of legendary things, and hey, we appreciate it. We appreciate it.
And she definitely was breaking through the Royal Rumble, the Intercontinental title, and then you had a Jacqueline winning the light heavyweight title. You had her doing things the same way because okay, it can be done. Part of the
Hmm.
story, right? Harvey Whipple, right? Harvey Whipple was the what was his female name, whatever it was, but
I don't know.
Jacqueline beat
I
him up
think
and
they
took.
I think they kind of erased that from history, to be honest.
Good.
Right.
But I'm just gonna we just gonna say that, but definitely, even
Hervina, that's what
though
it was.
Arvina, okay, I knew it was something that made you feel like it was gonna itch, but with all the
That's crazy.
with all that being said, it is pretty bad, right?
Hmm.
Did you see what Hollywood said?
Nah, what do you say?
He said, "Did you say thank you, Trish?"
Absolutely, we said thank you, Trish.
we said we said thank you. So and look, David
It's one
said,
of
and Friday, thank you, Trish status. That is his all-time
she's one of
favorite.
three things that I love from Canada. You know,
Oh,
it's Trish Stratus,
okay. Look,
Trish Stratus, Carmen Petrovic, and Canadian Bacon. But go ahead.
Trish Stratus will be the next Women's United States champion against Chelsea at WrestleMania 41.
That's what I'm
Hmm.
saying, man. They might do I can see her getting the mid card title, definitely, before
I
getting
don't know. I
that world
just.
championship. I I would love to see her get that WHC,
Mhm.
but I think she's gonna go. She's gonna get a mid card title. It's not gonna be a crazy run. She's not necessary. The thing is, she just needs to have that title. Just like we said with Bailey. Bailey is a decorated star, a well decorated star. Now she needs to add those mid card titles to her resume. So yeah,
Is
I
she
think
going to get?
Trish.
She going to get the Intercontinental?
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
she
she
definitely
going to
gonna
get
get
that
it.
Intercontinental.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
She's just taking her time, putting some people over, doing what she do, doing role model things.
being her, doing
Yep.
doing what she do best, right?
Right.
Oh
Right.
Lord.
Right. Right.
Well, I
What you
think
looking at? Another belt? You just got another belt?
no, no, no. I want to see. I'm checking something. Yeah, she was a two-time Intercontinental. I just want to make sure that I want to get say something wrong and I give China the right due. You get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Like I
Right.
didn't want to. I wanted to make sure. Okay. So, any final thoughts on the WWF/WWE Women's Championship?
I think we pretty much handled it all. It's the title
Hmm.
that pioneered that help us in a transitional phase. It helped move us towards the evolution that we have today. So I'm with it. I love that title. I love it. Ever
And
since the first champion. You know what I mean? I told you since day one, Jackie. I
let's
loved
show
it.
you
I
that.
loved it.
I hope you clip that off.
And
But brother, you
you notice we didn't mention probably her biggest rival. I'm just saying, brother Brian. I'm just saying. She wasn't that great.
okay. Oh, okay. I
Just,
wasn't going there. I wasn't going there. Brother, you tell the people. Well, any final thoughts? Because you try to start some stuff.
I'm always trying to start
You
stuff.
try.
That's what I do.
I know you are. With your nice red shirt on.
I know. It's yeah, it's giving little Kool-Aid man.
Okay.
Slim
All right.
Kool-Aid. I'm one of
Tell the
the little
people what they.
Kool-Aid packets. You know what I'm saying? The little crystal light joints. Boom, there we
Uh,
go. You see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Yeah.
not a crystal light. I can't wait for the way notes. I can't. I've got notes, brothers. But I can't be on the show. I like to disrupt. As we gonna start off. Brother, you tell
Right.
them where they can find us. Or they, yeah, tell them where they can find us.
Well, they can find us at, well, they can find me. Let me start with me first, because that's what I
Okay,
do.
start with you.
Let's start with me.
All
They
right.
can find me at HASTHE to the 3RD on all social media platforms. This guy, Brandon, the guy, the belt guy. You can find him at Custom Guy 913 on all social media platforms. And you can find us at Championship Culture on IG at Championship Culture underscore. Brother Brandon, take it away.
Oh, buddy, he threw it to me. That's all you got to tell the people.
That's all I gotta tell the people right now.
That's all you got to tell
You
them.
seem like you want me to say something. I don't know what it is, but
No,
you want me to say something.
I'll get you at the end.
All
But
right.
like he said, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Because you follow us, we will follow back. And tune in every Tuesday around 8-ish. Sorry for the technical
Man, he
difficulties
said
tonight.
8-ish. Right.
8-ish. every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the next episode of Championship Culture. And until next time, keep your eyes on the gold and remember, every belt has a story.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Boom.
Go over to Instagram and follow us at Championship Culture _. And don't forget, check out youtube.com/The Wrestling Room. Look for the playlist for Championship Culture. And remember, every belt has a story.